So yeah, so we're going to just go through the again the glute muscles. I went on about the origins and the insertions earlier. We're going to go a little bit different area with this muscle. So where it joins on to the ITB band, the insertion of this glute max muscle. So in the glute max muscle, the origins, it's on the outer surface of the ilium, behind the posterior gluteal line. Obviously goes to the sacrum. Wins that a little bit earlier, but I'm going to go more into the, don't want to go that deep into it, but into the insertion, which you've got this ITB band down here. It's one of them muscles that it's hard to stretch, and when you do stretch it, you don't really feel it because it's such a taut band of muscles. One of them, sometimes you have to count people down with sports massage when you sort of, because it's so, yeah, it's real sort of white knuckle city you're holding on for dear life sometimes. People don't realise how tight they are. Sometimes you have to count them 10 through it. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go down near that muscle. So basically the origin, I said, is up here, then it's coming down onto the bone here. So again, the tensor fasciae latae muscle is at the top. Yeah, so that sort of it's a littler muscle. I'll go into that in more detail when we go specifically into that muscle, but this insertion is on the loitable band tract I'm talking about down here, down this muscle here, down this side of my leg there. Loitable band tract of the fasciae lata, the tensor fasciae lata. It's more at the top, the tensor fasciae lata, going onto the hip, or it goes down onto the gluteal tubosity of the femur. So the femur bone, should I say, is this big bone here. So basically, it's covering here down to here. So you've got that muscle. Like I said, it does 5 actions. It basically abducts, takes the leg away at the hip from the body, from the midline, and it adducts, takes the leg in towards the body. So if you think of any actions you're doing, the only reason I'll go through these, you might think, oh bloody hell, I do that action a lot, I do that a lot. I need to massage these muscles. And also it extends the leg at hip, so it's going back that way, and it slightly extends the back through that force of the foreign order of the body. So of the rectus spinae, basically the rectus spinae runs up the spine both ways in the body, so that will get into the foreign order. Sometimes it affects down near the hamstrings. It's quite a big foreign order: hamstrings, glutes, buttocks. But yeah, they're all compensatory. You've got the glute minus and glute medius muscles, and again, the glute max is the one with the bigger motor units, so it has a lot more force for the body. Again, that's why it's really good to work on. Glute minus, basically, and glute medius will both medially rotate in towards the body. The big glute max muscle will laterally rotate. So again, if you think of these actions, oh, I'm using that action in the hip, that's where I feel tight, it might make sense, or it might just be gobbledygook, doesn't matter. But again, they both, glute minus and glute medius, basically both abduct away from the body. So it's enough of that. So we're going to go a little bit down near where the insertions are. You've got these ITB bands there. So again, I've done the glutes here, but you might want to come down, just down here, going to the different muscles also there. But again, basically it's on the buttocks, but as you're coming down here, you might want to sort of go down here, and come down just round near the hip. You've got tensor fasciae latae muscles, all sorts there. You've got them ITB bands there, which we'll go through in a minute. Sorry, not in a minute, but later on, just working through the body. But again, yeah, So you can just literally come down where these glutes are going to insert into the side there. I find it could get quite tight down there. So you might want to come down literally on the hip bone. I find like it's quite bony there. The fascia of the muscle linking on to that femur bone, basically this bone there. Obviously you do both sides. Like I say, remember the body's contralateral, it's a unit, so you always want to do both sides. You might be in a sport, a lot of sports use one-sided action more than another. I find, for instance, boxing, again, orthodox is one way round, but I tend to sort of train in southpaw just to balance it up. Not that I'm going to actually compete in a southpaw stance at all, hardly. I don't transfer that, but it just helps me stay a bit more balanced, because over the years it catches up with you, and that's all I do that for, really, just to balance. Again, they do say it's not as good for the brain hemispheres, doing unbalanced stuff to the side, but knees getting hit in the head, combat sports, so hey ho. But again, you know, it's just things to think about. I tend to just do that because I know I've done years of one-sided action, so I might just want to, I'm feeling a bit tension, I might just want to switch to southpaw and just do it the other way. Obviously in other sports you can't always do that. I know bracket playing stuff, you get a lot of one-sided people, really, because every sport's a cost for a benefit, basically. But we're going on function here, just recovery. It is about maintenance. This maintenance is the goal, really. If it keeps you doing what you're doing, then keep doing it, whatever way you find to do it. But again, just rolling forward and back here. I'm just down on the hip a bit. Again, I'm going to different muscles here, but again, it's just so you can just identify, really. These, I come around in the hip a little bit sometimes, got tensor fasciae latae muscles there and everything, but bang, lovely. And remember, generally it's slow. If you find an area, stay there. You have sort of trigger point releases where you stay in a position, you know, but just basically go where you feel that slight discomfort, but obviously don't do anything that hurts you. Bang.